Good morning, everyone. It's Simon Holden here, the Sheriff of Tippingham, here with the judge on the odds. Start the week with Judge's Jewels. Good morning, Judge.
Good morning, Si. How are you, mate?
Very, very good. Now, what a combination of good news to say. Yesterday, my video host, my HFC free club business, Flower of Scotland, which was, Judge, a Judge's Jewel. After finishing, what has to be said, it was a diamond. What has to be said, an ordinary looking third in a little Sunday chase at Carlisle. We've got the Borders national winner. Now, what was incredible, I said yesterday morning at about 9:15 that I didn't think the 8-1 with Bet365 would last. People should take it. Well, I hope they took me at face value, because when I turned on the old Giaconelli, the Ned Kelly, I saw that not only was it like not 8-1, it was in fact 7-2, and that didn't continue. It then went to 3-1 and won half the track. What a right royal gamble. Incredible, wasn't it?
It was. It definitely was a plot job. I think I messaged you obviously on the day before. I said, I think we've got one tomorrow. So and what was quite nice as well is that it was 2 from 2 at Kelso. That was obviously the plot all along. That run at Carlisle was for that race. So I mean, one easy, didn't it?
And it was one of those, like, halfway around, you thought, well, if he doesn't fall here, he's going so well. And you knew that, I think we said, if people look in the old video vault, the further the better. Sandy Thompson, I mean, he had the jolly, he had that. I think he's an incredible trainer of particularly these long distance chasers. So that's why you've got to watch Judge's Jewels. You'll have that in your tracker.
We did come up with it, mate.
Your tracker will have emailed you on Saturday night, and you would have been on at God knows what price. So that is why you've got to watch this show.
Absolutely.
So without further ado, we've got 5 more, Judge. I'll let you kick us off with your first, mate.
Well, I've got one. I thought one ran a superb trial for the Coral Welsh. Is it still the Coral Welsh National? It must be. Normally just after Christmas.
28th.
They had a Grand National trial there. The last 2 winners of that race actually went on to win the Coral Welsh National, and they were I Will Do It and Secret Reprieve. It's a really good trial. I think the winner before that ran at the meeting the year before as well. So certainly it's a race to follow. Well, the winner was Faranet for Venetia Williams. Actually won very easily, but it's a funny horse, Faranet, and tends to either win quite easily or finish tailed off. This has 2 ways of running the horse. And he's not actually entered for the race. The horse I really like was a previous winner of the race, Secret Reprieve, who comes second to Faranet. I thought this was a lovely trial. Like I say, it won the race 2 years ago off a mark of 134, winning it a 5-2 favourite. And last year, despite having a poor prep coming into it, it was 6-1 favourite. It did actually come last, but you would have got paid out on the place money because it came 5th. So it's been favourite for the last 2 years. It's off a mark, and now I'll spit it out so I can find. It's running off a mark of 134, which it won it easily off the 2 years ago. Obviously, it was a nice run on Saturday and threatened to get close to Faranet round about between 4 out and 3 out. But it made a slow jump at the third last, and Faranet obviously had the race in safekeeping after that. Adam Wish didn't knock him about. You could tell it was a first time out kind of run. I thought this was an excellent trial, and I can't see him out the frame at 14-1. He's 14-1 everywhere. I thought it was a lovely run.
I think that had "Watch Me Next Time" written all over it. That performance, didn't it? And there's a lot more to come. He is a horse who would relish that trip on what's usually bottomless ground, isn't it? It's one of the most attritional races of the year. I think he's a very likely type for that. Excellent trial. 14s looks 4 points too big, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think so. I think once it gets there on the day, it'll probably be about 6-8 and 8-1. But if you're going anti-post, you want to get at least twice the price, the way I look at it. And like you say, 10s would be just getting to the scope. It's 14s everywhere. I thought that was huge.
Well, there's your first Secret Reprieve. Big runner on the 28th in the Coral Welsh National, as it's known.
Yes, we've got not too much advertising.
No. My first is the 12:55 at Aintree. My 2 are at Aintree. Now, I'm calling this the race of 2 rides. I I sent a message round on Saturday afternoon after Harry Skelton rode this winner, and then he rode the winner of the big fences. And I said that there's not many go by him in the next furlong. I've noticed when he's in the last furlong when he's leading, he is an all-action rider when the money's down. Well, when when they're fancied.
Yeah.
And on Saturday he rode two winners, Dixon Cove here, who was an even money favourite. I'm just going to read the race readers' comments. Jump right at times, chased leader, not fluent. He was at this the whole way round. Challenged 2 out, edge left after the last, soon led, narrowly, hard ridden, stayed on, driven out. He won by a length and a half from Calico with my eye catcher in third. The horse is Isolane de Chando, trained by Mr. S.D. Beauregard, who I've not got a huge handle on his horses. This 3-year-old, he booked champion jockey Brian Hughes. Now, I'm going to ask you a question, Judge. You saw this. Now, I'm going to read the comments about Isolane de Chando. I've already read the Dixon Cove, and I said that Harry Skelton was at it. Now, very different horse. He knew Dixon Cove stayed well. Isolane de Chando's got form on very bad ground. So that takes me to the belief that he would stay in no problem. Here's the comments. Mid-division, not fluent 6. Jump right 3 out. Going well before 3 out. Going well before 2 out. Challenged on bit. Carried left, unable to quicken. Beaten 2 lengths. Now, I'm just going to ask you a question, Judge. You watch a lot of racing. What do you think would have happened if Harry Skelton had rode Isolane de Chando and Brian Hughes would have rode Dixon Cove with that quiet, creeping ride? I'll make a prediction that we can flip what would have happened. I don't know what you think.
Yes, he was certainly, she was certainly an eye catcher, wasn't she? I mean, she travelled like a travelly good thing, as that Matt Chapman normally says. But like you, it's got form over further. I'm surprised he didn't get on with it a bit earlier. You know, if you're on a horse that stays very well, why are you sitting there with a double handful? It's just, I don't like that sometimes, you know.
It looked to me like he thought, I'm going to win this easy and look a little bit stylish doing it. And then it all went wrong late on. Now, this horse should have been, remember, there is evidence. If it was a flatbred and there was doubts about it getting home on the ground, then that completely changes it. But it wasn't. There weren't any doubts about stamina. I honestly don't know why he didn't. He could have got this horse 3-4 lengths clear between 3 out and 2 out. And then he could have eased off and done all the stylish riding and whatever. Yeah. What you don't want is to get into a battle with Harry Skelton. Now, Brian Hughes is regarded as having a fantastic clock in his head. They say that when he does work riding, they've always said this in Malton up north. When he does work riding, he gets off and tells you exactly that horse is rated this. There's where you want to send him. Incredible. But even his biggest fan will say that a driving finish is not his strong point.
Yeah, so I
just don't know why he did what he did. And I don't know whether he'd say, that's what I was told to ride it, whatever. But I'm making the point, this thing, I think, has got a lot more to give. And I hope that it's brought back to Britain. I really, really do. Because I think there's a decent race in it. I think it's strong form. And I think it could have been 4 or 5 lengths better off with a more aggressive ride.
Yeah, I like it, because obviously these listed mares races, there's normally quite a few of those, especially the juvenile ones. And the form was actually was upheld because the second Calico ran behind the horse that finished second in a Grade 3 yesterday, Willie Mullins's. So it's good solid form. That obviously this was a fillies race or a mares race. I like you think. I mean, she was definitely travelled the best in the race. The winner had nearly got taken out as they come into the home straight by the one in front, and that would have been the good time to have tried to kick on, because as that shenanigans was going on, you could have took the ball by the horns there and gone for it. But I mean, races are difficult. I mean, like you said, I do think if he had the ride again, which we often talk about, he wouldn't have sat there, trying to look good. He would have got on and look. If the horse doesn't find anything, hits the front and then stops. What can you do? I'd rather that than sit there and just sit and just not get there.
Exactly. Right.
It's definitely an eye catcher, mate. I'm very happy with that one.
Right. Let's have your second, Judge.
Right, my second one. Yeah, or better quickly go. I'm going to a race. I think it was on Thursday. A horse called Shallow River, trained by Fergal O'Brien. It came second, but it came second to a horse that I'd spotted, actually, believe it or not, last year. A horse called Filey Boy. Filey Boy or Filey Bay. It's trained by one of the smaller trainers in Ireland, and it went to Emmett Mullins. And Emmett Mullins got a win out of it at Ayr on the Saturday, and that won easily that day, so it's running under a penalty. From what we could see of the race, because it's in one of them fog stuff, it's foggy most of the early week. He seemed to give it a good race, but this is the horse's first run of the season. And like I say, Filey Bay was the one that beat him. Only got beat a length. But if you go back to this horse's sort of like bumper run, it was third to a horse called Complete Unknown of Paul Nichols's now. And that's rated in the 130s. And in second was Deploy the Gateway. That's also rated in the 130s. And further behind, Getaway. Well, I'm losing the plot. And back in eighth that day was Banbridge. So that was some decent bumper that he's come third in. He's come over here, got beat at Wincanton for his first run, New Connections, and then won a bumper at Wincanton. Then won a novice hurdle quite comfortably. Now, this is what I'm going to come to. He beat a horse called Big Boy Bobby, who absolutely bolted up yesterday in what I thought was a good race, which also I will come to with another selection of one of my jewels. But I thought that was it's now proved to be a half a decent race, Shallow River beating that. This horse is rated 116. I think they're going to have some fun with this. I'll be surprised if it doesn't win a couple of handicap hurdles.
Like you, I mean, very difficult to give too many opinions in the start of the week with that fog. I took one at Wincanton, and you genuinely couldn't see anything until after the last. Then they went out, whatever. Anyway, the horse was about 4. Somebody emailed me and said, "Have you got any feedback?" And I actually said, "Well, what feedback do you think I've got? I couldn't see a bloody thing. Like, I've no idea what happened, you know." No. But yeah, no, I think that's a little form line you've uncovered there that could be very, very profitable, because the Irish tie-in gives it a bit of a boost, doesn't it?
Yes.
Yeah,
You'll be surprised it's not going to be rated at 130s come the end of the season, aren't you? Really looking at that. Yeah.
I think it could possibly run up a little sequence up north, that couldn't it?
Yeah. He's very adept at getting the wins out of horses, Fergal, as well. He normally gets the best out of them.
Yeah, he is. Sometimes they can be prohibitively priced, can't they? But yeah, I don't mind that.
He might go for a decent handicap with this, because you know. But we shall see. If it only wins something, a couple of Plumpton races or something, it might be the case. It might be prohibitive. But I think this horse is too good to be running in sort of not very valuable races. I can see this winning sort of like 10, 20 grand handicaps, definitely.
Oh yeah, good jewel that. I think that he says either a little sequence or go for a biggie off that mark.
Yes.
My second one. Now, I don't usually like giving horses that have won, because we always say you can pick them yourself, but absolutely. I do think this is underrated form, and that's my angle here. It was the 240 at Aintree, the Boyle Sports, the class 2 over 2 mile 4, just shy of 2 mile 4, and the race was won by the top weight, Brave Siaska. Now, Venetia Williams, we said this is her time of year till maybe the end of February, when you can like plunder races with her, and she's had the quiet start to the season as usual. Suddenly started to bang a few winners in. I think she'll bang plenty more in the next few weeks. But this Brave Siaska, it was 12-1 on Saturday, which tells me, Judge, that this was that more is expected down the line from this. And the fact it's still won, it beat a horse called Handsworth by 2 lengths, and very easily, I thought. And the thing was, he's giving 2 stone to Handsworth, 1.5 stone to horses like Cooper's Cross, Gunsight Ridge, who was fancied, was stuffed. Good yardsticks like Empire Steel, Clan Legend, who won the race twice. I just think this was a very commanding performance. So I started to look back really into this horse's history, and I think he's very, very well handicapped. He fell at the festival, but the time before that, he ran in a Class 1 at Warwick, and he was only beaten less than 6 lengths by a horse called Edwardstone. Now, I don't need to tell you that form took a bit of a Cadbury's booster on Saturday. The time before that, he came into that race with 2 wins. Really impressive win in an Ascot Class 3. This is what I'm coming to. I think Venetia will be heading to Ascot over Christmas and New Year with this horse. He beat Amarillo Sky, a horse who, and he didn't just beat him, he beat him very easily. The comments were, well, Amarillo Sky has boosted that. You've got the Edwardstone link. I mean, I'm annoyed that I missed him on Saturday. And he was clearly not that well fancied because Venetians don't go off at 12-1. They are backed. So that tells me he's going to come on from that. I think he's going to go back to Ascot. I suspect they will avoid Cheltenham with him falling there. That's only sort of logic. And I think somewhere like Ascot and Sandown, there's plenty of big mid-distance chases there. I think he's got a big race in him, this horse. I think he's very well handicapped. He's proven he goes on cutting the ground. He's proven that he jumps round Ascot and stays round it. He proved himself left-handed at Aintree. There's big races over Christmas and New Year at Sandown and at Ascot. And I think, Judge, he's going to bag one of them. He is a capital letter eye catcher for me. Another diamond jewel, Brave Siaska, Venetia Williams.
This really was one that kind of got away from me on Saturday because I was looking at the form lines. I thought, cool, that's really. But it went up in trip, and it went from 2 mile to 2 mile 4. That was my question mark. I think we can safely say that he got the trick well enough. Like you say, absolutely bolted up, and that was a really competitive handicap on Saturday.
Seemingly,
and, if you look, pardon. Seemingly, yes, definitely seemingly. And because everyone, if you remember, was slagging off the novices from last season. I think really it's the old 3rd time lucky syndrome. I keep falling for that also, and I've just got to just accept he's not actually representing the actual novices that much for last year because 3rd time lucky's 3rd time lucky. I can definitely see him popping up at 20-1 one day, but he's going to have to get. I'll have to give him the swerve. He's one of the Skeltons that hasn't been running very well, isn't he? But if you actually have a look, obviously Edwardstone after that's come out and bolted up. I think the other day, I believe there was also a fella at the last that was going really well. Not Magic Days, where were we? Curse Sublime was going well in Ireland. That ran in the Arkle last year. I think that fell at the last when you could argue that might have won a graded race. So I don't think that. I don't think the novices are necessarily as bad as we think from last year, and I think they've been undervalued. So keep an eye out for those sort of horses. And yeah, it's a good duel, that, mate. I know it's obvious that he won, but I think there's another decent win in this. A good handicap, especially the Amarillo Sky run. I mean, that, like you said, I didn't realise that one. That was a. I mean, that's won about three times since, isn't it?
And it's important to say that the 6-length beating by Edwardstone was off level weights.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that couldn't have been. That was so impressive on Saturday, and that's I think we just quickly sort of glossed over that. Isn't it nice to get the jump racing in full swing now? Proper horses running, good racing, and it's lovely to have the jumps back when it's like this, rather than. Interestingly, so I did see the 3 horses that all missed their targets: Constitutional Hill, Long Press, and Edwardstone. All went and won their next races very impressively. We should have been on.
Yeah. That was your clue. Yeah, so Brave Siaska, absolute stonking jewel for me. Watch him wherever he turns up, and I'm going to be smashing into him. Judge, bring us home with your final selection.
The final one was say it's a little bit left field. Ran yesterday in the big boy Bobby race. Better make sure we get the right boy Bobby. It's good boy Bobby as well, isn't there? But big boy Bobby was the horse I mentioned earlier on that comes second to my last duel. Well, this ran in a handicap. It was a 20 grand handicap, or 16 grand to the winner yesterday at Huntingdon. It looked a fair race. The second in the race was First Impression, who's pretty much bang solid, runs his race each time. The 4th Impulsive won quite well on its previous start. It looks quite solid form, especially for a Sunday at Huntingdon. This Any Arm in Asking was a right progressive novice last year, and then popped up in a couple of handicaps. And it won a Sedgefield handicap, which you think, well, perhaps that's not much cop. It recorded an RPR that day of 141. Well, it started this season in being well fancied for an Ascot handicap, only to drift very much late on. It was anti-post favourite for the race, and that to me said it kind of needed the run. Now, if you watched the race yesterday, there was 2 horses that were travelling really well, turning to home straight. The winner, Big Boy Bobby, and this horse, any arm in asking. As he sort of come into the home straight, he sort of stumbled and lost his position, and then he couldn't quite get clear run. He still travelled well between the second last and the last. Meanwhile, the winner got a first run on him. He jumped out to his left, and he looked like he went out the CV screen. Looked like perhaps he needed the run again. He's going to drop away and finish 4th or 5th. But it was absolutely flew up the rail. Nearly got second. And if you watch a rerun, I'm not so sure it wouldn't have won it certainly another 100 yards. I'm pretty sure that it won't go up very much for this, if at all. And I think next time's the time to catch this horse. This looks to me like it's a horse that's bang there on its handicap mark at the right pitch. Possibly could go up in trip the way it travels. But John Joe's horses have been quite slow to come to hand this season, and I think it won't be long before they do. And I think he's one you should have in your tracker, certainly for his next start or the start after. And that's any harm in asking, and there certainly isn't.
No, never is. There you go. John Joe, horse is ready to come to the party, I think.
Yeah.
Right, Judge, that's 5 crackers there. All right, I'm getting a little bit of echo. That's why there you go. We'll see you on Friday with the Judge. Have a fantastic week. Keep it HFC. And if we can ask one thing, please like and share this video if you enjoy it. And you enjoy horses like Flower of Scotland. So we'll see you Friday. Have a great week, Judge. Keep banging him in, mate.
I shall try, mate. You too.
Yeah. Take it easy, everybody. Come on, England.